Hey everyone, this is Wayne, and there we go. Had the thumbnail up. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I don't have my normal setup this time. I'm over in Saudi Arabia, so if the audio is not working, just yeah, maybe let me know. That way I can try and fix it or something. But yeah, I'm doing a buddy's laptop. It just was by chance that he was in country at the same time, so we get to kind of maybe hang out for a couple days and then part ways. And he's got a gaming laptop. He's had it for a few years, and so we're gonna replace the thermals on it, make it better than brand new, and yeah, probably play some Helldivers later. Should be good. Sayori, am I on vacation? I wouldn't say I'm on vacation. No, I'm here for work for a month, and then I'll be flying home in like 2 weeks. So it's definitely not a vacation. Now these ASUS TUFs are always interesting to start opening. Where'd you pull from? Right here? Oh, nice. Guess we're gonna use a paste spreader from Halnziye right here. Oh yeah, that's gonna work out really good. Never try and force the plastic too much, you know, you don't want to damage the case or whatever. Better to go slowly and surely and try not to miss a screw. He's like, what did I get myself into? Yeah, this one doesn't have any foil like my other one, so. Well, there's kind of like an inlay of like, maybe, of like coppery looking sheet, so maybe it does spread heat across the back plate somehow. It's almost like a spray-in coating. It's not very thick. It's like a light foil, if anything. So, yeah, we got a copper heatsink here. First things first, we're going to disconnect that battery, right? We don't want to run into any issues that way. So this one has a, let's see, this one's just a straight pull. So we're just going to start from each corner with this little blue pry tool. If I had two, I would use two. So I could use this. There we go. So now we're going to be much safer working on it. I don't have my regular like silicone pad. This is like some sort of oven protective bake sheet thing. I'm not really sure what's going on with it, but yeah. And I know the perspective is flipped for you guys from what you guys usually see, but that's just how we're rolling today. Now, this is kind of looking like a similar cooler setup to mine, and the fans do look like they're separate. There's a surprisingly large gap here for air to leak, but then this might seal a little bit to go around the heatsink, so for the heat pipes, so maybe it's fine. Put that there. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. Because it's a weekend in most places in the world. Actually, no, it's Monday today. It's not the weekend anymore. thought about using Upsiren UT4, but decided until I test that, the retail version, let's just go with what we know is good and stick with that. So now this heatsink looks like I can lift up there, can lift up here, and I think I'm just thinking, yeah, we got to get this screw out. There's an extra one on the corner. Okay, that seems to be the bulk of it. Now we're just going to take our time. You don't need to rush when you're prying the heatsink off. You don't try and force it. It's going to come with its own timing. There we go. So we've got the heatsink. There it was coming up there a moment ago. That's a nice design. It's got no wires over it, so it's like super easy to get off. Wow, those cores, there's definitely a hot spot you can see on the CPU. It's got a little like a rice size almost burn mark there, so that piece is super dried. That's not good. We're gonna get that cleaned up. Get some alcohol on the die. Oh man, it's well, we're gonna start off just kind of gently scraping off that stuff, plastic. Now, typically you want to use 99% isopropyl alcohol. That's the ideal one to use. We don't have that today. We have 90%, which it's going to work fine. Just means we don't want to pour it all over the PCB and then assemble it like 30 seconds later. You just got to wait a couple minutes longer for the alcohol and stuff to evaporate off. So other than that, it is perfectly fine to use. You can use all the way down to like 70%, but it's not ideal. I wouldn't recommend it. So and the audio probably sounds different. I'm just using like a headset. I kind of set up the audio filters as best I could, but it's probably nothing special this time. But that's okay. These chips are nice because there's no little SMDs along the edges, so you can very gently scrape that stuff off. I also don't have compressed air this time, so we're just going to have to make do with brushing things off if we need to. So there's definitely like two little marks left on there from that stock paste burning up yeah, that can happen with when it stops being effective. It gets a little hot spot going on. This looks like it's shifted out of place almost, but what is going on there? Yeah. So this little this looks like a heat spreading pad. Yeah, we're gonna put that on like that for now. Must have just shifted out of place. Hopefully that stays in place now. Around here. YouTube is not responding. Can you guys let me know if the stream is still working? If it's not, I'll just have to do a recording instead. John says, I'm still using HY236 on my 3080. Founder's Arctic TP3s on the memory viewer. I was very happy with the performance. I was going to try Putty, but it's still performing well now. Yeah, I mean, if it's performing well for now, I wouldn't... it's not like you have to put Putty on it right away, and you always have a chance the next time. So we're going to take just a couple pictures just so we have a reference of the factory stuff. Turn the flash off here. That way, if you're ever wondering if you missed a spot, well, it's good to have pictures for that kind of stuff. But we are going to try and do this Putty job relatively quick. It's got some bugs to kill. This blue stuff, I believe, is made by Dinka, and it's not very good. I'm not sure. Like, I understand it gets really thin, but there's better options. I wish ASUS would switch factory Putty to something better, especially now that we have so many options. Even from big manufacturers, like, you don't even have to go with the small brands. There's just tons out there. I won't be saving it. It's pretty dusty. If it was clean, I might save it for testing, but yeah. No need. So we're just kind of scooping up. I recommend using one of these paste spreaders first. It avoids most of the mess. If you just grab like cotton swabs right away and rubbing alcohol, there's just too much material on that. It gets messy, and I think most people that complain about cleaning up Putty are just going straight to the cotton and stuff and rags. And yeah, it's definitely messy. Doing this, you guys can see I'm basically using this like a squeegee almost and scraping off the vast majority of it. There's really only little bits of like residue left, and then that's pretty easy to clean up with the alcohol and cotton swabs then, or makeup wipes. So that's generally my recommendation. Scoop up the excess first. These are tiny little MOSFETs. Do we know yet if PTM and HY236 are the same thing? I don't think they are, but it's possible. But I don't think so. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if HY236 is PTM7950, made by a competitor of Honeywell. But we're pretty confident that Thermal Grizzly Phase Sheet PTM is actually rebranded Honeywell stuff. That's what Der Bauer came out and said on, I think it was overclockers.net, if I'm not mistaken. So if you if you want to be like 100% sure and you're worried about buying stuff on AliExpress, you know, I can understand that. Then just go ahead and get the Thermal Grizzly stuff, and you don't need much, just a little bit. So those 2, 3. Now we're also going to scoop the excess paste off the copper heatsink. And then we'll clean up the remainder of the stuff with the alcohol. Dump that. It's always good to use these makeup wipes rather than Q-tips because they don't exert as much force, so it's less chance of scratching the copper, which is like one of the softer metals. I'll put this in a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. Sorry for the camera shaking. Again, this is not my my normal setup. Just kind of, I don't even have, the camera's not threaded in anything. I'm literally using like bamboo skewers jammed into the quarter 20 threads at the back. And then my luggage suitcase, like my carry-on with the wheels, yeah, it's just going through the handle. It's, I do not have a camera mount. There's no mic boom here. We are in the desert. Sometimes you just gotta make it happen. Heatsink's looking pretty good. We're almost there on it. Just details. I wish I had a compressed air thing. But luckily these can be blown out later with compressed air, even after it's assembled. It's actually not a bad design that way. Mostly because there's little gaps. Yeah, even the fans will clean out later. That is looking half decent for the heatsink, anyways. Let's put that off to the side for a moment. catch up on the chat here in a little bit. Just gotta get this last bit cleaned. And then we're gonna start applying some putty. It's a weird little like C-shaped sparkly pad of some sort. I'm not really sure if that's there as like a heat shield, but it's kind of doesn't seem like it's holding together really well. It's kind of making a bit of a mess on the PCB. It's kind of annoying. Alright, we get some gloves on, start rolling some putty. So yeah, we're using HY206, and it's got the hole punch for HY206, but there's those 5 different colors. You got blacks, 216, blue, 226, 236 for pink, 246 for, I want to say gray, and 256 is actually green, so yeah. Actually, 246 might be black, 216 might be gray. Either way, I already took off the seal of this stuff. Now, if you're buying this directly from Halnziye, you should. They make 2 versions, which is kind of annoying in a way. I guess we only found this out recently. But if you do buy it directly from Halnziye, and they ask, do you want the thin or the thick version? Get the thick version. That's what this is. It's slightly hand rollable, but still not super easy to hand roll. But the other one is like sticks like glue to everything, so not ideal. Even this one can be hard to work with. You can also put it in the freezer for half hour if you want. Work on it like with that. It'll be a little bit easier to handle. We've got 6 VRAM. I'm just kind of rolling these into little balls, placing them on there. These ASUS laptops, you really don't need that much. Even like $5-6 for a 20-gram container, you're only going to use maybe half of that on an ASUS laptop, so $3 or $4 at most with this Halnziye stuff. It's pretty reasonable for replacing factory putty. You do not need to spend a fortune. And actually, if you spend more and get one of the thicker putties, well, it's not going to work very well anyways, so it's kind of pointless. You can see how I can kind of roll a little log, so it kind of works for rolling. We're going to place that one right about there. I don't mind placing a bit of excess on the MOSFETs just so they have really good thermal contact. I'm not flattening it completely. We're gonna let it get squished by the heatsink when we go to assemble it. Again, that's going to be excess, but that's going to press out that way. So it's going to work just fine. And with this putty, it's relatively forgiving once you get used to using it. So, yeah, here we go. Let's do a piece like that. Also, the way this heatsink is designed, we're going to be able to trim off excess as needed. Put this whole row so with this putty, the less you touch it, the easier it is to handle. Does that make sense? Like if you get it all over your gloves, it's going to stick a lot to your gloves. That's kind of the trade-off for having a putty that gets so thin. They might be able to dial in a bit more, but it's this is generally, you know, that's what I would expect from the thinner putties, is them to be a little bit harder to work with your gloves, just out of necessity in a way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they can adjust it so that it's easier to handle. I suppose only time will tell. I gotta do these, and I gotta figure out if it's cooled in between. It is, yeah. So we're just gonna put a whole row across there. Let's see, we're gonna hold the cooler up here. So even that MOSFET there is gonna get some. Okay, let's lift this on there. You can see it just wants to stick to my gloves. It's okay. We're gonna use this to help it separate. And we're just gonna poke and prod. Now, with other putties like UTP8, you know, you can make them look pretty tidy and clean, roll really nice logs. That might not be the case with this putty, but it's going to work out okay anyways. Yeah, I just got to check. So we've got all this covered. We've got the VRAM on the outside here. We have this row and that row there. And we got up here, you guys can see we got this, that. So that's all the putty. Yeah. Now usually what I would do is a test fit. If I was trying to work on a device for the first time, and if I wasn't sure how much it was going to need, if I was worried about there being excess. And that's what I would advise most people to follow, the laptop guide, especially if it's your first time using Putty. If you just follow that, it's going to work out pretty good. That test fit and adjusting Putty as needed is definitely in the books for, it's going to get you good results. What I just did my laptop, my ASUS, my other laptop, what was that? I want to say 2.5 weeks ago for that laptop thermal Putty guide, so I'm pretty confident that we're going to have it dialed in. I'm just going to look at the picture that I took on my my phone, and we're going to see so we got that row, there. Yeah, that is all the Putty. So that's why you take pictures, that way you have something to reference. If you don't, like, you're never gonna know if you've got it right or not. Now we're gonna finish one little blast pass with the alcohol on the GPU die and CPU. Looks like there was a couple little cured dots of paste on the die. Makes it hard to, you don't want to apply PTM when there's paste contaminating the surface and potentially creating a gap, or preventing the PTM from getting really thin, kind of just like acting like a chalk block almost. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Just a couple little specks of dust, not much. Again, ideally you'd be working in a much more dust-free environment than I am currently in. But we got some half-decent lighting. I found a light. I stole a light bulb from a chandelier, and then I put some napkins in front to diffuse the light a little bit. So it's a totally ghetto setup, but it's gonna work out good. Now, for the size of the PTM, again, we're gonna go undersized. So we're gonna cut a strip like that. And when this stuff melts, you're gonna end up with full coverage anyways. So don't really worry about it too much. Super forgiving. And this is gonna make doing the second peel easier. It's also going to make it so that the burn-in happens faster, which means you don't really have to, like, we're just going to use it. We're not actually going to worry about doing what my typical recommendation is for, like, running for a mark for a couple hours. We're going to be playing video games, so that's it's going to work out fine, and I'll be able to adjust the fan speed later on if need be, depending on what his temps are like. Okay, so there we go, we got one film off. This is for the CPU. There we go, that looks really good. So we're just gonna rub our finger on there to make it stick. And then I'll get the stuff for the GPU die. I'm gonna try smaller pieces of tape and see how that goes. And then I promise I will catch up on the chat as soon as I get this thing back together. Because, yeah, it's been hard to focus on both this time. So, sometimes the tape doesn't want to stick to it real well. I don't know if that's just my, probably just my finger rolls getting on it or something. In which case, we'll just get a new piece of tape. That's that same Caplinq sheet that I was having problems with at home, so I think it's just got a bit of like oil film on the outside of it even. I should probably wash the whole thing somehow. Maybe that would do it. Right, pressing it together. There we go, got it that time. Something like that. Rub our finger on it. Now, we're gonna make sure that I'm just gonna get another cup wipe here. So if you like sit at an angle and get the light just right, you can actually watch the alcohol and stuff evaporate. I'll do one last pass with this. It's just a dry one, so we're gonna, yeah, it's all good. Okay, so when you go to peel, again, we're not gonna pull up, we're gonna pull back across towards the other side or corner, whichever it may be. So we got that one. It makes peeling a lot easier, as you can see. And we got that one. All right. So we're gonna flip this around. We're just gonna hold it above, kind of look at the putty below. And yeah, it looks like we've got all the spots, which we confirmed with the photo as well, that there was before. Now you want to get it mostly lined up with the screw holes too before the putty makes contact. We're just going to gently press, not a whole lot. Move that back in the frame a little bit. And I'm going to get these, I'm going to press a bit more before we get the screws started. Now, I'm not putting a whole lot of force. This is maybe a couple pounds. Doesn't take much. Just enough to get it closer so the screws can get started without... You don't want to put too much force into these arms to try and bring the cooler down. So you press a little bit, get the cooler a little bit closer, and then start the screws. Once we get all the screws started, then we're going to press down a little bit more as well. Hey, do you have your charging cord? So I'll end up trimming the excess putty that's around the edges. Alright, so we're going to do, we got the screw started. Now we're going to press over both the cores and the VRAM. And you can see as I'm holding just light pressure, crazy. Excess is squishing out. We're going to do that up here too, so that this corner is not exerting any force. And you guys can tell there's a lot of excess around here. That's not an issue at all. I can trim that, especially with this design of the cooler. It's kind of nice that way. Now I'm going to focus more force on the core itself, the CPU, and then we're going to do the star pattern. Couple turns there, starting to press down with the springs. Until these ones start pressing down. Probably tape that, maybe. It's a weird little, I don't know, like heat spreading pad, but it's, I haven't seen stuff like that before. You know what we're gonna do? I'm just gonna put a little blob putty in there to hold that thing in place. There. Now it's not going to move around. Problem solved. Halas. Alright, got the screws mostly in. Alright, now with the excess putty, we'll just grab another clean paste spreader and trim away. And this stuff's nice and soft, so you don't have to press hard or nothing. You get stuck on SMDs, you just sort of do what you can to scoop it out. Now, anytime you disconnect the battery on a laptop, the first boot up usually takes an extra 30 seconds. That's pretty normal. If you plug it in and give it some time just to sit there plugged in, more often than not, it'll actually boot up kind of normal. I guess it depends on the manufacturer and whatever they've got set up in the BIOS, CMOS. Man, I'm so used to like the dual monitor setup where I can see OBS and chat on big screens, not a little 15-inch laptop screen. But that's okay. Now if you want to just tidy it up a bit more, you just grab a cotton swab and rub it like this. Again, this excess putty's not going to hurt anything, but we're just going to make it look a little bit tidier. Nothing crazy. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Again, I'll probably see if I can find some compressed air tomorrow or tonight or something, and we'll blow these fans out the grills. But other than that, that's the putty job. What do you guys think? Pretty good, huh? Alright, we're gonna reconnect the battery connector. There we go. Alright. Now this one goes like that. Let's get a little last look. Probably take a couple pictures, I guess, because we can. Maybe I'll post these on Discord. Rotate this around. That way the orientation of our screws will be the same. So once I get this back together, I'm going to get my friend to start the laptop up. And then I'll catch up on the chat with you guys while he's making sure it's still is functional. Which we're not too worried, so once you get used to putty jobs, they don't have to take forever. You know, once you get comfortable with how much you need, especially for like ASUS laptops with the thin gaps, trimming the excess, having the heatsink in such a way where you can trim the excess of some of those areas means you can put a bit extra, and then as long as you apply that pressure, you're gonna squeeze out the excess. You don't need to apply a lot of force. You don't want to. You don't want to bend anything. All you're doing is just holding it and let it gradually flow out, because it's pretty thick stuff. Think of it like molasses. You don't need to press it out quickly at all. Checking all the back plate screws, the bottom cover. Again, these don't need to be too tight. We're just gonna go till they stop, and we don't want to strip the heads. So yeah, that's the laptop all back together. Now I'm going to hand it to my buddy and see if he wants to plug in the charger and then just see if it boots up. It might take an extra 30 seconds than normal because we disconnected the battery. Okay. Thanks to your video, I just replaced my factory applied liquid metal with PTM and Thermal Grizzly Advanced Putty. Nice. Welcome to the stream, Thenotred. How is the performance on that? Stream still running. Good. Hello. What else? We got temps are low and the system is stable now. That's awesome to hear. Siri says, I heard the Hylos one was different. Saw screenshots from the German forum, Ecoros Labs. Yeah, it's definitely seems different, but also very good. At least in my testing, they're within 1 degree of each other, and that's down to like the testing error that I have. So let's see what else we got here. You guys can see what I see now. Interesting thing. Siri says, but so far I have low power. Have a few low power GPUs on Hylos. Yeah, it's good stuff. Definitely PCM. Gaurav side says i15 14400F with the RTX 3080 is this good combination? Is that a Lenovo Legion i5? With Lenovo, you can actually use this putty, but the gaps are bigger on that laptop, so you can use something like UTP8, Thermal Grizzly Putty Pro. Thermal Grizzly Putty Advanced is the same performance as this Halnziye HY236. That's kind of crazy, but if you look at the chart, they're within like 0.2 of a degree Celsius on my test. So the fact that this one can get so thin, if you're going to go Thermal Grizzly Putty, I would only go with the Pro out of the 3 options. I wouldn't bother with Advanced because you can get a 100-gram tin like this one, which like comes down open, like looking pretty empty. I've maybe used 12 grams from that, and this is performing the same and can get super thin. So I wouldn't go with the Thermal Putty Advance ever. Now looking at the graph like that. So CPU bottleneck. John says Siri temps seem to have improved over time. I assume as thermal pads finally settled down and allowed the core to make better contact with the Hylos. You get 12 Celsius diff between core hotspot. That's a decent diff. You might. John, is that what video card was that again that you had? I'm not sure if you said it, but you might get that down to like a 9 or 10. It's NVIDIA, which I'm thinking it most likely is NVIDIA. Hello, Madder. Welcome to the stream. Oh, it's good. It boots up. Success. Do you want to try, like, running a game? You don't actually have to, like, play the game, but just see if it, like, feels choppy. I can check, like, temperatures later, but yeah, his laptop's up and running. Joseph Palo Concepcion recently got some PTM7950 UTP8 putty, and I'm very surprised how those performed. Your videos were a big help in giving tips. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's pretty shocking going from the traditional knowledge of, like, you know, buying thermal pads, a whole bunch of different sizes, and then you put it in the GPU, and yeah, the temps are like, they're okay. And then going to a putty, especially one that's near the top of the charts, it's shocking how good the performance can be. But really, that just means that the manufacturers decided that they were gonna only put a certain quality of product into our multi-$1,000 GPUs. Like, there's people buying 5090s for what, $3,000 to $5,000, and, like, you know, Gigabyte. At first, I was really stoked that they decided to use server-grade thermal gel, as they called it. I'm calling it thermal putty. That's my general term that I'm using for any liquid formable thermal interface material that's for spanning gaps like thermal pads. I think they got the consistency off. They need to make it a little bit less liquidy and wet. And today, yeah, this stuff was sticky, but this holds its shape really great. It's not going to run like the Gigabyte one, which already looks quite wet just from the factory. So I think they could adjust it, and that would be great if they do. Or even, you know, if I don't know if they're making it or just buying it, but they could even switch to something like the Halnziye and then be off to the races. So they should probably do that, especially for something so expensive. So guys, I kind of want to play some video games. So I think that's it for the stream. I know this one was like a shorter one, but yeah, I might do another one in a day or two with a buddy's GPU. I think it's a 1660 Ti or 1650 Ti. He's got a gaming computer here. It's never been serviced, so we're going to redo all the thermals on it, including the CPU. And maybe we'll get him playing Helldivers too. That'd be awesome. But thanks for tuning in, guys. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I will catch you on the... Oh, wait. Someone asked a question. Manav Patel, what's your opinion on the ASUS TUF F15 i7-13 RTX 4050? I haven't looked at that model specifically. Decent processor. The GPU is a bit lacking, but maybe it's a good entry point if you're getting it for a reasonable price. It's just... how many gigs of video RAM does that have? It's probably like a 4 or a 6. I wouldn't get a laptop with less than 8 gigabytes of VRAM at 1080p. This laptop is going to last me a long time. This Aorus, it's got 16 gigs. It's a 3080. It's only 130 watts, but I should be able to up that to 150, hopefully. But this is probably going to be fine for me for quite some time. And this one's got, I think it's 165 hertz refresh screen. So I wouldn't go for a 4050. If you could find something used with the 3060, that would actually be a better... Yeah, so it's got 16 gigs of memory for the system, but your video card will have a different number of gigabytes, and it's most likely 4 or 6 for a 3050. I would look at maybe, or sorry, you said 4050. I would look at getting at least a 4060 if you can save up for it, or even an older laptop with a 3060 would be better than the 4050. But anyways, that's it for me today, guys. I will catch you guys on the next one. Snarks Domain out.